Hey, so I'm going to show you how to make these gorgeous handbag straps that have no raw edges, so none of the folding, just real neat and a little bit special really. So you use these with tabs and you need to attach them to the tabs before you attach them to the handbag. So the pattern could have one or two straps, it works with either, but you do need to add the tabs on first because it can be a little bit tricky. I mean, it's doable, but it is tricky if you add the tabs to the handbag and then try to put the strap on. So this is what we're making. And the measurements are all in the description. So I'm quite happy to share this one. Just adjust it to suit what you need, but there needs to be a difference. So this one is 34 inches and this one is 28. So there is a bit of a difference so that you get that nice fold where the longer one comes over. Now we're going to be making this into like a loop. So it is easier if you get your fabrics prepped first. So if you've got faux leather or cork, it does help if you can find the center line already. So I've just drawn mine on using a fabric marker because you don't want anything that's going to bleed through. But we leave that flat. We're just drawing on the line. Now, if you've got cotton or linen or something that can be pressed, I've prepped mine already, but you'll start out flat. We need to find the long centre line either by measuring and marking or by folding it in half and pressing. And then we bring in these long side raw edges to meet that centre mark. If you have pre-folded the centre line, just give it a nice steamy press if you can to try and remove any extra creases that we don't need. If you're worried about your fabric being really thick, instead of it being 2 inches wide, just take like 1/8 off, just a little bit. And then when you fold it, because sometimes they don't always meet in the middle, something funny happens with cotton, but it's all good. But the most important thing is these need to go on here before any sewing is done. Otherwise that defeats what we were talking about. So I'm trying to do this as a close-up, so it's really hard to get it in screen. There we go. So I've got mine in like a U shape. So you can see that there are no, obviously I've kind of folded it, but there are no twists and turns. It is, you know, it's flat. I'm just going to chuck the bottom bit out of shot, but I haven't turned it or anything. So right side up, I've got my shorter piece here. What I'm going to do on this one side, I'm going to lay them right sides together but at a right angle. And I also want a little bit of an overlap so you can see the vinyl, the faux leather there. And I've also overlapped the cotton as well. I know, it's hard to get my hands out of the way. Let me just clip these together. So once it's like that, we need to find our diagonal, and the diagonal runs, we see where they've overlapped, you've got this little corner. Just mark that, and the same up here. There's a little overlap there, just mark there. And and try not to knock everything over. I don't have a fancy setup. There we go. So I've drawn a line between the two. And that is our going to be our stitch line. Whoops, knock this one off. Now we need to do the same on this side, so just kind of curve this so that you know it's not twisting, and we're going to do the opposite over here. So 90-degree angle, slight overlap, slight overlap. Where the overlap is here, we're going to mark, and same up here, this little corner, and then draw a line between the two. Ooh. There we go. So before we sew them, let's just double check. We've got no twists in our one side and no twists in our other side, and most importantly, these are on. Yeah, we can sew across our lines now. The rings making this, it does get quite noisy. And then we can trim off this excess. I'm doing it to like kind of seam allowance really, and then where you had the overhang you can trim those off as well, otherwise they just get in the way. See, they're noisy. This is a noisy strap. There we go. Now, if you have used cotton, you can just make sure this is all refolded. So open up your seams and then start refolding everything to where it is. You might need to just add a few clips where these seams are. If you've got faux leather, you're going to need to add a little bit of something like glue or double-sided tape. So I'm going to run double-sided tape down the center. Now I'm not going to be stitching anywhere near this, so I'm happy to just run tape down here. Move your rings out the way as you need to. So I'm going to start on the one side. Just get a few of those. Oh, they're ready. So open up your seams and bring in the long edges to meet the center line, and then just refold the cotton side. Now it kind of wants to bulge out a bit, so just try and make sure that it doesn't. So open the seam allowance, bring the long edges in to meet your center line, and refold the cotton part. Just hold that there for a second, because obviously there's no double-sided tape on the cotton part, so the faux leather tries to make it all open up. So obviously if you have the cotton, you've probably refolded yours already and added clips in where necessary. This won't take long, honest. I don't like to peel off too much of the backing paper at once, in case I end up in a bit of a pickle. There we go. Didn't take too long really. Now, I'm going to put my hoops onto my longest part, which is the faux leather. So I'm just going to quickly move them over and reclip. Now, I'm just thinking, hang on. Is that a bit better? You can see what I'm doing now. I've shown you the fiddly bit, we've zoomed out a bit more. So I'm grabbing a ring and I'm just, if I show you this end, I've just gently pulled the rings, and then I'm going to roll this loop until I get something that looks similar. So you can see this side is bigger than this side, so it just needs to be rolled around a bit more. And do another check, and they look pretty good. So once you're happy that they look good, clip them so they don't move. Now feel free to run a bit of double-sided tape across this center bit to stick the two halves together. That's absolutely fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over, because I find it just easier to look from this side, because I can see the colourful cotton poking out to see whether it's straight or not. Oops, a daisy. Now I'm just clipping them together. I'm starting on the one side and I'm just making it even. Use as many pins or clips as you want, or glue it or tape it, whatever works for you. Oh my gosh, what's going on around here? And once you've got the one side that you're happy is level, start start on the other side. If you find you come to a bit and the one side is sticking out more, just roll it to slide it back and in. One more. There we go. And then just double check that nothing's moved. My one does look slightly bigger than the other. So what you could do, if you think, oh, the one looks bigger, you just adjust that one ever so slightly. And then you've just got to move all the clips again. But I think it's not like a massive difference. No, not really. So what I'm going to do, when I'm sewing and I'm sewing across a ring, it's very easy to go wonky. So you can use double-sided tape, you can use fabric marker, but look at the size of your machine foot. If you've got a huge wide foot on there, unless you're using like a hump jumper, you're not going to get very close. And I know that 3/4 inch is an okay distance for this foot. So I'm just going in. And from the folded edge, I've measured up 3/4 inch. Now I've done this on the wrong side, just in case, you know, the fabric marker doesn't come off. I'm not going to see it, but I will be stitching over it anyways. If you're using light fabric or you're not sure about your marker, I would use washi tape. And that way you're covered, because you can just peel that straight off after. Now, it's up to you completely where you start. You can start down on one of these corners, or you can pick a part of the fabric that matches the colour of your thread. That's what I do with top stitching generally. It kind of hides it a bit better. But I think I might start in the middle. And I've got this like browny colour, and I'm using brown thread to match the vinyl. Ooh. I told you, noisy straps these ones are. Now I'm going to sew looking at the faux leather, because this fussy fabric hides my stitches really well. So if I go wonky donkey on this side, you know, where it doesn't match up so evenly, you're not going to notice. So I'm going to sew on this side, and I'm going to top stitch all the way around, across the lines we've made and back to where I started. If you feel as you're sewing along, just adjust it as much as you need to. If it's going off, if the cotton starts doing funny things, just roll it back in. There we go. So it's all lovely and stitched. And then we just need to add our connector tabs. So yours will be something similar to this, and the same as we did the straps. So find the long center line, either by measuring, so this is 2 inch wide, so I'll measure 1 inch, and then bring the side raw edges in to meet. And you can either press it or double-sided tape, and then stitch down the long sides to create your tabs. So with the raw edges here, you're going to slide it through your rectangular ring so the raw edges are enclosed when we fold over the connector tab. And then all I'm going to do is match up the ends and base stitch them together like so, and do that with the other side. So I've got my raw edges here, slide on, fold it over so the raw edges are on the inside, match up the ends, and there we go. And it is as simple as that. So you've got your 2 straps. Just remember when you put them on to have your angles facing the same way. I mean, you're not going to look at the same, you know, both sides of the bag at the same time, but it is a nice finishing touch to say having them both pointing outwards or both pointing inwards. But there we go. Let me know what you think. Put me a comment. But there is also a bag coming out. Oh, it is out. It is called the Whatever Tote. Whatever. And this uses these handles. So go check it out. There we go. Ta-da! Thanks for watching.